Hello all sentient beings and welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we talk all news, comics, and media related to the... On this spectacular episode of Transmissions Alt Mode, we review Beast Wars Neo Episode 1. The Transformers Earth Wars game gets some Titan-sized updates, and TFNation's guest list is shaping up nicely. Today is Friday, May 24th, 2019, and this is episode 130 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that's a one-podcast army. I'm your host, Charles, a.k.a. Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Jeremy, a.k.a. Yakko.
Hey, how you doing?
And Daryl, the Cybertronian Beast.
Hello. Let's talk Transformers.
All right, well, unfortunately, we have to start off on a bit of a down note. We have to report the untimely passing. Jeremy, I will slide it over to you as our grief counselor.
Yeah, unfortunately, the T-Cracker, you might have seen photos from him online of toys. He was on Twitter as T-Cracker Jinmon, and the only actual name we could come up with online was Simon. No last name, but he's pretty prolific in doing really, really awesome pictures of toys. And unfortunately, he lost his battle with cancer in this past week. So, just condolences to his friends and family. And yeah, I mean, so as much of a loss it is for us with losing the toy pictures, his family, I'm sure, is just suffering because he was very young, and cancer just sucks.
It's his last picture that he posted on Twitter is very poignant. It's Masterpiece Soundwave petting Ravage, and it's just so serene. Mm-hmm. It's sad.
Yeah, it's cancer is really a a scourge on everyone, so it just it's not fair. All right, well, let's get into the show. We start off, as always, with donations, and we want to thank our Donatrons, those beautiful people who give us money on Patreon and PayPal. Thank you all for continuing to support the show, and we really appreciate it. If you can't support with a monthly donation, you can still support us by buying some merchandise from our TeePublic store, and that's transmissionspodcast.com/shop. If you buy anything from TeePublic through our link, that gives us a little bit of support, so that helps us out. Also, if you want to help out our friend of the show and one of our favorite artists, K-Girl, she has her own store at teepublic.com/user/superstark. And you can check out the stuff she's made there. So awesome t-shirt designs she's done. One of the perks of being a Donatron is you get automatically entered in our monthly Toy Hacks drawing. And we just did the drawing this week for the month of May. So a big congratulations to our Donatron JJ, who has won this week's or this month's Toy Hacks prize. So congratulations, JJ. I hope you get all the stickers you want with that prize. All right, well, let's get into the Transformers comics and media this week. Let's start off with some comics news. All right, we have got a new reveal from the Hero X Transformers Classics volumes. So these are the Japanese language reprints of the classic G1 Marvel comics, and this is done by the publisher Hero X in Japan. So anyone who wanted to get Japanese language versions of those G1 comics this company has you covered. So hopefully Japanese Transformers fans are discovering the classic Marvel comics. We've got a really cool cover here. This cover is by artist Kazumasa Yasukuni, and this artwork is really cool, and it's really evocative of those early G1 issues. I believe, just judging by the picture, this probably collects issues 13, 14, 15, and 16 of the Marvel Comics, because we've got Robot Master. He was featured in issue 15. We've got Joey Slick, the gangster who got Megatron in gun mode. That was in issue 13. We've got the rock concert that some of the new Autobot recruits went to. I think it was Bruce Springhorn, and that was issue 14. And then issue 16 was a Bumblebee focused issue, and Bumblebee is right in the center here. So really cool. He captured all the issues of the comics that this classics volume is covering. It's really nice.
The colors are amazing.
Yeah, very cool. Next, we've got a little. So this is a spoiler. So if you are. If you're following the IDW, the new IDW Transformers comics, you might not want to click on the link here, but we have a little sneak peek of issue 6, which should hopefully be out next week, so if they keep to that bi-weekly schedule, which they have for the most part. But we've got another page that was shared by the editor Tom Waltz on, I guess this was on Twitter, and it was reposted on TFW 2005. So, and this is a different artist actually. It's artist Bethany McGuire Smith, who I think is she's a new artist on a Transformers comic. So, and it's really interesting. It's kind of like I would say like freeform sketchy a little bit. It's really interesting.
It's a little bit like Sarah Stone without with a little bit more hard lines to it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes me think of.
Yeah, so it doesn't reveal much for the issue, but it is an interesting image. So I don't think if you're really concerned about spoilers, don't look at it, but it doesn't really spoil anything. But we'll have the link in the show notes so you can check it out.
You could probably talk about the tweet that's quoted here.
So all right, so in the text of the tweet that Tom Waltz put out, he says, "Oh, Transformers fans, with the news that our first arc has been so amazingly received, don't think we're going to just coast forward. Brian Ruckley and his team have big plans, big surprises in store. Like Megatron says in this issue, number 6 sneak peek, we won't stand still." Could have fooled me.
Amazingly received. Must mean something different.
Yeah, and it feels like we've been standing still for 5 issues. But anyway. So, yeah. The other thing I did want to mention, so I was just, as I, just looking at the other Transformers sites. So in particular, T-Formers and Sabertron, they do reviews of the comics regularly. And this one just caught my eye. Like the T-Formers review, the regular reviewer there is Rack or RAC.
Rob Clay.
Yeah, Rob Clay. And the title of his review was IDW Transformers number 5, the 100-page first issue concludes. And yeah, that's about how I feel about this first arc of the series. And you can go I mean, he makes a lot of the same criticisms that we've had for this for the last few issues, and that the pace is really slow, nothing's really happening, and 100-page first issue. That's an accurate description. The other review from Sabertron by Scotty P is, I think he was actually more positive in the review, and he was like, yes, things are finally starting to move forward in this issue. I still don't think things are moving fast enough, but I hope things pick up next issue. I'm always optimistic for the next issue. So we'll see. All right. We don't have a new comic this week since this is the off week for Transformers.
Don't you see what I posted here?
Oh, no, I didn't see that. Apparently, on Twitter, the writer Brian Ruckley did tease the next issue, the next story arc for the Transformers series. Yeah, it's another 5-issue arc, and it's called "The Cracks Beneath Your Feet."
And it starts with issue 7.
So wait, what's issue 6?
Well, the one that you just teased, or has the IDW threw out the sneak peek for.
Yeah, but why doesn't this 5-issue arc start with issue 6?
Because
it's obviously a single issue.
So none of the stuff that we've been waiting to get resolved is obviously going to be resolved in issue 6.
Okay.
I love the sound of defeated Charles.
Yeah.
And I'm reviewing next week, aren't I? Great. Okay. All right. Now can we move on?
Sure.
All right. Well, we don't have a new comic to review this week. Hopefully, we will be doing it next week.
But Charles, what are we going to do? Oh, wait. I have some feedback here from another podcast. Hold on one second.
Hello, everyone, and it's time to talk comics. And yes, some people are going to say, this is late. And we're just like, we can't make a show when the books aren't out. We're not Transmissions.
Oh, I made the joke. I wanted to do the joke.
No, they suck. They suck and they know it. Chris does suck. Chris shows up there sometimes. He sucks. Charles sucks. Jeremy sucks. Daryl sucks. Yoshi sucks. Russian Yoshi especially sucks.
God damn.
That editor guy, Mike, he sucks.
Some fucking mad shade being thrown down from Mikey's end.
Chris sucks. I just want to re-emphasize that.
So, yeah, that was our friends on Moonbase 2 who do a comic review show once a month. So, yeah. Love you guys.
Chris isn't even on the show, Mikey. He's on, he's on WTF. Oh, Mikey.
Yeah.
I guess if we were smart, we'd do this once a month, but we're not.
Yeah. Some people, Charles, likes to make sure we never miss an episode.
It's a point of pride at this point. After 5.5 years, I mean,
yeah, I know.
Why stop now?
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, no comic, but we are going to review another classic cartoon, and I'm going to turn it over to Daryl.
All right. All right. Yes. That is the theme song for Beast Wars Neo. So we thought it would be fun, since last week we talked about how Beast Wars Neo got this fan sub was finally released, and you could download it for yourself. We thought, what the hell? We'll take a look at Beast Wars Neo Episode 1, Big Convoy, Move Out. So we're gonna dive right in here. First of all, you guys have all seen it? Y'all watched it?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. So I want to say, the opening of that music that you just heard, that's just a clip, because the opening for this show is 1.5 minutes.
Yeah. That's Japan for you.
That's a long intro. All right. So the episode opens with artillery raining down on a planet from a fortress commanded by Magmatron. We see Big Convoy appear as a lone warrior Maximal, called Cybertrons in this, and with a blast from his big cannon destroys the base, and with it, Magmatron. Next, we see Big Cannon flying his ship when he receives a message from Vector Sigma. He's to report to Cybertron camp for new orders. Big Convoy ignores the message and Almost immediately, we see Cybertron Camp decloak in front of him, as if they knew he would send the call to voicemail. Big Convoy is brought before the council of 3 quote-unquote primes, and even though they go unnamed, we can probably guess who some of them are. Big Convoy is told that even though he's their greatest warrior, they've received orders from Vector Sigma to bring him in and get him to train a handful of recruits. Meanwhile, on the spaceship Gung Ho, we were introduced to the fresh-faced recruits Big Convoy will be training. First up is Break, whose alt mode is a penguin. Next is Stampy, which converts into a rabbit. After that, we have Colada, who turns into a cobra. And then there's Long Rack, the giraffe. And lastly, we meet Heinrad, who transforms into a raccoon dog called a Tanuki.
Yeah, it's like that suit that Mario wore in Mario 3.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you guys have heard of a Tanuki?
Yeah.
It's a Japanese, it's a Japanese magical creature.
Yes, I had to look it up.
It has.
This was interesting. I looked it up on TF Wiki. Here's what TF Wiki says about a Tanuki.
Go ahead.
In folklore, they're usually depicted with massive testicles, which they can drum on. Oh, TF Wiki.
I mean,
never stop being you.
That's not just. I mean, that's true. It's not the TF Wiki's fault. Don't shoot the messenger.
I mean, if only Super Mario 3 wasn't limited by the hardware of the original NES. I mean, you would have seen Mario in that suit with giant balls.
Anyway, an interesting thing to note before moving on is that when transforming, all the characters yell "Metamorph" instead of "Terrorize," which we've been used to in previous series. The new recruits decide that since they don't know who their trainer will be, they should test that the new bot to see that they're worth being trained by them. Big Convoy enters the Gung Ho to find it deserted, which annoys him. Then the recruits spring a trap and drop a type of solid net over him. Realizing their new trainer is inside, the recruits are quite pleased with themselves, so they lift the net to expose their embarrassed trainer, but only find a very large gun, a big cannon. Confused, the recruits look at each other, and it's at that moment Big Convoy strikes. He was hiding inside the net the entire time. Big Convoy grabs one of the recruits and asks them all if they'd like to test their abilities for real now. It's at this moment that they realize that their new trainer is the legendary Big Convoy, and the new recruits are elated. Now at long last, the recruits and Big Convoy set out on their first training mission aboard the Gung Ho. Big Convoy explains to the group that their training mission will be training mission will be to set out for the planet Gaia. Apparently, Lio Convoy and his unit has gone missing, and they will be going to investigate. Stampy asks that this appears to be a real mission and not a training exercise. Big Convoy responds that doing things for real is the best way to learn. The Gung Ho warps off to Gaia, and we meet the ship's computer, Navi. Once they arrive at Gaia, which looks a lot like Earth, Big Convoy appoints Long Rack as his lieutenant and orders the rest of the group to listen to him while on the surface. Big Convoy will be staying on the Gung Ho and taking command. The recruits mount pods and fire themselves towards the surface where their arrival has been expected. Unbeknownst to Big Convoy, we see that Magmatron still lives, and his group of Predacons, called Destrons in this, are following him. Starting with Gouldart, I don't know how to pronounce that name, sorry, who transforms into a Triceratops. We then have Saberback, who converts into a Stegosaurus. Then there's Sling, whose alt mode is a Dimodon, followed by Dead End. No, not the Stunticon. This one transforms into an Ammonite. This group of Destrons opens fire on the recruits entering the atmosphere, and because they're so green, they don't know what to do. They all look to Longrack, who's been put in charge, and he says, "Think for yourselves!" Longrack and Stampy's pods are destroyed, and they land perfectly fine on the ground. Stampy yells "Beast Mode!" and converts into rabbit form, hoping to hide in some tall grass. Stampy is then caught by Sling and handed over to Magmatron to be held as a hostage. Just then a larger pod is seen flying in. The Cybertrons identify it as the Seagull, and it's being piloted by Big Convoy. The remaining recruits run towards it, which angers Big Convoy. He fires on his recruits and tells them that you don't run away and leave a teammate behind. At this point, Magmatron arrives on the scene holding Stampy by the ears. Big Convoy yells at the remaining recruits to listen to Longrack and asks him to break down the situation. Longrack points out that all the other Destrons are hiding, and that if they are going to have any chance of saving Stampy, they'll have to attack it all at once. Heinrad mentions for a split second about having an ability to stop time. What? They attack. They yell, "Save Stampy!" Heinrad yells out, "Time freeze!" And everything stops. Some things even in midair. Heinrad runs through all the warriors, Cybertron and Destron, right up to Magmatron and grabs Stampy. As time returns to normal, all the Cybertron warriors are out of harm's way, and Heinrad is booking it away from the battlefield. Magmatron cannot understand what has happened. He wonders if they used magic. Magmatron will not stand for this and fires his sword blade, which he calls the Magma Rocket, at Heinrad. Big Convoy yells at Heinrad to duck, and it hits Big Convoy square in the chest, creating the biggest explosion ever. Nothing could survive it. As the dust clears, we see that not only are all the warriors fine, Big Convoy doesn't have a scratch on him. As Magmatron approaches, Big Convoy explains that this will be payback for the fortress battle. Big Convoy unleashes his big cannon on Magmatron, winning the day. As the Destrons retreat, we see Break start blaming Stampy for getting caught. Then Big Convoy steps in and tells them that they were all being cowards, and it's not unnatural to fear death. One for all for one. Before heading back to the gung-ho, Big Convoy gets a signal from a recording device off another ship. The group travel to its location to recover it. Once recovered, they return to the gung-ho so that Navi can analyze it. A message appears from it showing an image of Lio Convoy, and it tells of battles with Galvatron over something called the Anomalous. I don't know.
Anglemois.
Anglemois?
Yeah.
Sure. The Anglemois energy. It goes on to say that Galvatron used the artificial planet Nemesis to collect the Anglemois energy. Lio Convoy continues on to say that they successfully destroyed the planet Nemesis, but the Anglemois energy was scattered over through space, and the Anglemois energy could potentially destroy the universe, so they'll have to collect it with the help of his Cybertron team. And that's what Big Convoy and his team do, and warp away. Meanwhile, on the ship Dinosaur, Magmatron has his own plans for getting the Anglemois energy. To be continued. Well, that is the episode. That is episode 1 of Beast Wars Neo. This was really quite interesting for me to see because I'd avoided it. It was in Japanese, and there weren't any subtitles for it before. So I applaud the group that did this because I wasn't able to watch it before, and now I can read it, and that's great. I have to say, there's kind of a little bit of silliness in it. I see where the original RID cartoon kind of comes from with this, because it's made shortly after this, and it's very far removed from the original Beast Wars. So if you're watching it, I would highly recommend you think a lot more towards RID than think Beast Wars. But there's a lot of like some G1 references in there. There's not many. There's some silliness. Some of the characters are like, first of all, Stampy for the Cybertrons is he's essentially a wimp in the original episode here. So, he seems to be getting into trouble or getting caught. Break is the hothead. And he's going to be going off half cocked all the time. But all in all, I think that the show is seemingly fairly even paced. The Destrons seem to have almost the exact kind of build as they do in RID for the Predacons in that. And I don't know. I'm curious to hear what you guys think, Charles.
All right, first, I'm disappointed. I thought you were Canadian. You were stumbling on those French words there. It's guile dart and anglemois. Aren't those French words?
I don't know. I'm not French. Yeah, I don't. I saw the name Guile in Guile Dart, but I don't. I missed it. And anglemois. I just didn't get anglemois.
No, I can't blame you. This is something that always puzzles me about Japanese shows, is that they seem to just throw in, like, for them, these are all foreign words. So why are they just throwing in random English and French words into their stuff? Like, it's because just listening to the show, it's in Japanese, but randomly you get like some English phrases just sprinkled in there, and it's
like love is real.
Love is here.
Oh, love is here. Right.
But I mean, even in the show, like some of the dialogue, it's like I think like one point they're like alert or something, like something in the show where is there not a Japanese word for alert? But I mean, it's just interesting. Overall, I mean, it's a fun show. I mean, it is. You're right. It is pretty. It's silly. It's more on the RID style, I would say. Of course, I didn't realize this, but looking at the wiki, this is a sequel show to the Beast Wars second cartoon. So I guess you should have watched that before watching this one. So I haven't watched Beast Wars second or any of this. So it wasn't,
and it's actually technically in continuity with G1. Like, that's why they're called Cybertrons and Destrons. The Autobots and the Decepticons, same faction, same ongoing storyline.
Right.
Well, that's what I was assuming at the end there with the Leo convoy. Mm-hmm. His kind of story that he kind of tells in the recording, I was assuming was the kind of catch up, or here's what happened in the last series kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of doing it at the beginning.
Right.
They did it right at the end. But yeah, that's kind of what I assumed, because I did know that it was a sequel to Beast Wars 2. Mm-hmm. But it was, I think it's probably going to have its own. For me, it was watching it and seeing the figures that have come from this series that I wasn't able to really place. Like, every now and then I'll see somebody have a long rack in their collection. I'll be like, where the hell is that freaking giraffe figure from?
Yeah.
I mean, that big convoy is iconic as a figure. Mm-hmm. Jeremy, you've got the Magnus one.
Yeah, I got the Ultra Mammoth.
So that's a really good version to have. So there's other ones. There's a couple others that are kind of that kind of stand out. But as I was writing up the review, I was looking at it and just thinking, like, I was pulling some of these names up through the wiki. And yeah, to see that there are actually figures out of all these characters, it's pretty cool to see that there's a whole other world of these things out there that I really never had experienced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was waiting for Big Convoy to transform. He didn't transform in this episode, so we don't see his mammoth mode.
And neither did Magmatron, and he's a combiner, right?
Right. So. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it sets up the series. Although we don't get a lot of the Destrons, we only really get Magmatron as a character. The rest of the Destrons are kind of just they're just there to fight. But we get all the Cybertrons. We get a little bit of characterization of each of them. So it's all fun. And then they're trying to play a joke on their commander. But then after they reveal it's Big Convoy, they're all super impressed that Big Convoy is training them. So that's cool. And yeah, the Council of Primes who all have Optimus Prime heads. That's that's interesting. So yeah, it looks fun. I mean, it's of course it's anime, so you gotta if you're not a fan of the anime style, it might be a little hard to swallow. But if you just roll with the anime, all the anime tropes are in there, along with the very super emotional love theme for the show theme song, which seems to not fit at all. But anyway. I also liked how the compute, like the Cybertron's computer is Navi, and then the Destron's computer is D-Navi. So
yes,
like okay, did they just clone the good guy's computer?
They pirated it and just renamed it.
And I didn't mention it in the review, but when they return to the ship, D-Navi is just berating the Destrons about. You got to take it from Magmatron, sure, but now the stupid computer is giving it to us? What the hell?
Yep. Yeah, so maybe I don't know if we're going to continue with this show, but yeah, maybe. Do you know how many episodes there are? Are there a lot?
I don't know off the top of my head.
There's 35.
Oh, okay.
That's a lot.
I don't know if we're going to do that, but I guess we'll see.
What were your thoughts, Jeremy?
I enjoyed it. I went in knowing really nothing about the plot of the series, and I mean, like you, I've seen some of the toys around. I wasn't even sure if this was the one with Leo Convoy or not. Going into this kind of completely cold, I liked it. It did take me a little bit to get into just, the mindset of this is not Beast Wars that I'm used to. And then reading the wiki, I find out this is like Gaia is Earth in the far future after humanity has completely died out. That was interesting. But I think it's a great setup episode. You get to kind of get the personalities of all the, at least the Maximal characters. And Big Convoy is apparently, super Maximal. He can do pretty much everything. So I'm interested to see if that's gonna be scaled back as the series goes on. I haven't watched a ton of anime. I mean, I've watched a decent amount of things like Voltron, Transformers, just some of the Japanese source material. I'm looking forward to continuing with this myself, just to kind of see where it goes. And yeah, I thought the kind of the gimmick they set up for collecting the capsules is, that's on par with, regular Beast Wars had the whole, you had to get the, what were they? The protoforms before the other group got them. And, it'll be interesting to see where they go with this. And, I'm actually kind of interested in finding Beast Wars 2nd now as well, because it's kind of getting your mindset back into like 80s, 90s, SD animation, but then, it was not nearly as bad as Headmasters.
Cool. Well, hopefully everyone else liked that. I don't generally do reviews very often, but yeah, it was fun. That's it for the review. Let's move it on to media news. And media news this week, we've got Transformers Earth Wars has revealed Titans, which include Trypticon and Metroplex. They have both been revealed in some art that they have released. These are some long-awaited characters. Yeah, I have not played this game in a very long time, but they've got to be very difficult to attain, these Titan-class figures. So hopefully, if you're still playing it, you can get one of these guys. Also, the Legacy, the book, Legacy, the Art of Transformers Packaging, is going to get a reprint in paperback. So that'll be coming to stores in November. So if you missed it and still want to get it, check Amazon. They have a listing for the paperback, and it's a pre-order for November.
Yeah, it's a good book. I got the hardcover.
It is, yeah. Currently it is on Amazon for $22.23, on sale from $29.99. And lastly, we have a little bit of Bumblebee news. This is the Bumblebee movie boosts Viacom's Q2 2019 earnings. That sounds like an exciting topic. Let's discuss this more. Well, it's not a lot that we're going to discuss on it, except for one little thing. There's a quote in here from Viacom's president, Bob Bakish. He's the president and CEO, actually. So he's a big guy. And we just wanted to mention that he said, even in 2019, we had strong performance from a series of titles. Bumblebee, which was the most recent Transformers movie, is a great example of Jim
Giannopoulos.
Perfect. His ability to reset a franchise. The last Transformers film was we probably lost over $100 million. Bumblebee is a better movie. The story was better. The characters were better. It was done in a more fiscally responsible way, and we're making nice money on it. So there you go. It looks like they're going to want to keep doing movies like that.
Yeah, and Viacom is the parent company of Paramount.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Having the president and CEO take notice of the film that you made is probably pretty good. It's not some artsy film. It's not anything that's going to make it's not going to win an award, not going to win an Oscar or anything like that. But if it's going to make some money, you know what? The president and CEO is going to take notice.
Also, I don't know if we had seen that number about last night, that it lost $100 million.
Well, I don't think we had seen it, but I think we could probably have guessed it.
Well, yeah, it's just seeing it out there and just kind of in the same breath, the president and CEO is like slagging on the last night while saying, Bumblebee's we're still making nice money on it. And it's a good movie.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't have anything to add.
Oh, okay. Well, that's it for media news.
All right, well, let's finish up the show with some convention news.
We have another TFCon Toronto announcement. Blue Mancuma is going to be attending the show. He was the voice of Tigatron and Tigerhawk in Beast Wars, but he was also Roadblock in G.I. Joe Real American Hero, Heavy Duty in G.I. Joe Spy Troops, and G.I. Joe Valor vs. Venom. He will be, doing all the things, Q&A panel, autograph sessions and stuff, so it'll be interesting to see... I'm not going to be there, but for you guys to see him there. Tigatron was a pretty fan favorite character. So the next thing we have is a couple TFNation announcements. EJ Sue is going to be attending TFNation. He, as you know, was one of the early IDW artists. Did basically all of the Asian series with Simon Furman. He did some spotlights and a number of stuff. He's even come back to do a couple covers in the last year or so as they were wrapping up the first IDW stuff. In addition to EJ Sue, another artist from IDW is going to be there. Andrew Griffith is going to be making his TFNation debut. I'm sure he's done auto assemblies in the past, but I think I saw him on Twitter say that this is his first TFNation, and it's also his first Transformers convention in a couple of years. So I'm sure people will be happy to see him. And he's got some art in some of the recent comics in the reboot. So with that, that is all the convention news we got this week.
All right, and that'll do it for this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this episode of Transmissions. But just because this episode is over doesn't mean the Transformers fun has to stop. Join us and other Transformers fans on our Discord chat server by visiting transmissionspodcast.com/discord. If you would like to learn more about how you could support the Transmissions Podcast, just visit transmissionspodcast.com/support. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you again next week.